What's up guys, we're all here with YugaTech, and Xiaomi and Realme have recently unveiled their latest flagship offerings, the Xiaomi 12 and the Realme GT2 Pro, both powered by the latest Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 chip in sport 120Hz AMOLED displays, triple rear cameras, 5G connectivity, large batteries, and other similarities. But which of the two is a better option? Find out in this comparison review. Starting off with the design, the Xiaomi 12 sports a smooth polycarbonate back and just the right size. The Xiaomi 12 fits in the hands perfectly. The tapered edges of the display and curved corners also help with added grip. Meanwhile, the Realme GT2 Pro is made out of a bio-based polymer with a paper-like texture, which is really unique when it comes to smartphone designs. Both devices' camera modules are placed on the top left portion of the back. The Xiaomi 12 protrudes more, making it wobblier when laid flat on a table compared to the Realme GT2 Pro. In front, both devices have slim bezels. The punch hole for the selfie in the upper left corner for the Realme GT2 Pro, while the notch of the Xiaomi 12 is placed in the upper middle. Both notches are small enough so it's not that bothersome. Now moving on to the buttons and ports. Starting on the Xiaomi 12, you get your volume rockers and power/slack button on the right side, antenna bands on the left, speaker grill, secondary microphone, and infrared blaster at the top, and USB charging port, primary speaker, microphone, and SIM card slot down at the bottom. For the Realme GT2 Pro, you can find the power button on the right side. On the left are the volume rockers, a noise-cancelling microphone for loudspeaker up top, and finally, down at the bottom, you get the USB Type-C port, noise-cancelling microphone for regular calls, a single downward-firing speaker, and SIM card tray with no expandable storage. So overall, for design, I personally like the Xiaomi 12 more because of its size, and it also does feel great in the hands. There's also an IR blaster for TVs, which I find convenient nowadays. Now let's move over to the display. The Xiaomi 12 gets a 6.20-inch AMOLED dot display in Full HD Plus resolution, while the Realme GT2 Pro gets a 6.7-inch WQHD Plus AMOLED one. Both displays also comes with Corning Gorilla Glass Victus, so it's safe to say that they're both just as protected. Since both of these devices support AMOLED panels, you get an always-on display feature here, which is always nice to have for when you want to save on display power consumption. Both displays offers vibrant colors, good viewing angles, and deep blacks. Both also get sufficiently bright under direct sunlight. The overall display quality for both devices is superb. Both have AMOLED screens with up to 120Hz refresh rate and support HDR10+. Alright, for audio quality, it's going to be the Realme GT2 Pro. While both of these devices have stereo speakers at the bottom and at the earpiece, Realme takes advantage of the GT2 Pro's bigger size to give it a soundstage that seems bigger and more crisp. Xiaomi 12 speakers, while tuned by Harman Kardon, seems to be more biased towards the mids, and the smaller chassis gives it a natural disadvantage compared to the Realme GT2 Pro. Next up is the performance. For hardware, both of these devices are equipped with Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 SoC and an Adreno 730 GPU. The Xiaomi 12 gets 2 RAM and storage options. That's either 8GB of RAM plus 128GB of internal storage, or 12GB of RAM plus 256GB of internal storage. The Realme GT2 Pro does get 2 RAM variants as well, and 3 internal storage options. So you get 8GB of RAM, either 128GB or 256GB of internal storage, and 12GB of RAM, either 256 or 512GB of internal storage. Unfortunately, both have no space for storage expansion via microSD. For software, you get Android 12 out of the box for both of these devices, and with each manufacturer's user interface skinned on top. The Realme UI 3.0 for the Realme GT2 Pro and the MIUI 13 for the Xiaomi. Now, when it comes to navigating through each device's respectable interface, this ultimately boils down to one's preference, as the two UIs have very different approaches. Xiaomi's animation seems to be much snappier of the two, although Realme UI has grown closer to stack Android recently. Now when it comes to day-to-day task and productivity work, both phones performed as they should and held them like a breeze. When it comes to gaming, Xiaomi does a better job of boosting the game's performance at the expense of heat dissipation. Realme GT2 Pro's performance when playing Asphalt 9 is no slouch, but it does seem that the graphics is not really optimized compared to Xiaomi. Considering the hit issue of the Xiaomi 12, we'll have to give this to the Realme this time. Now in terms of benchmark scores, the Realme GT2 Pro has the Xiaomi 12 beat here, flashing them onto screen right now. For battery, the Realme GT2 Pro gets a bigger capacity in comparison at 5000 mAh battery with 65W fast charging. Meanwhile, the Xiaomi 12 gets a smaller 4500 mAh battery with 67W fast charging, 50W fast wireless charging, and 10W reverse wireless charging. Both phones juice up from 0 to 100 in just a little over an hour. In our PCMark battery test, the Xiaomi 12 yielded a respectable 11 hours and 41 minutes, and the Realme GT2 Pro on the other hand lasted 14 hours and 23 minutes. Now when it comes to biometrics, you get optical facial recognition and in-display fingerprint scanner in both devices. They both do work pretty well, however the Realme GT2 Pro's got the Xiaomi 12 bit here in terms of speed. So yeah, for performance, I'm going to have to give this to the Realme GT2 Pro for outstanding hardware and software optimization, a more robust cooling solution, and amazing battery life to boot. Now moving over to the cameras, the Xiaomi 12 gets a triple camera setup consisting of a 50MP main shooter with an aperture of 1.9, 13MP ultra-wide, and a 5MP telephoto. The Realme GT2 Pro on the other hand also gets a triple camera setup consisting of a 50MP main shooter with an aperture of 1.8, a 50MP wide with an aperture of 2.2, and a macro lens. For the front-facing camera, you get 32MP shooter on both of these devices. Now, let's not dwell and dive right into these sample shots. So in this first set of photos, right away you can see that both phones can deliver impressive quality shots. Both give us vibrant colors and crisp detail. In this next shot, even though we're not using macro lens here, you can still shoot as close as this and get a really good photo. You can also notice that it also gives you some bokeh effect. Now let's move on to the ultrawide sample shots that we got. In these photos, we can see that the Realme's ultrawide lens takes the cake regarding the frame of the view. It gets the dynamic range right. On the other hand, the Xiaomi 12 is still pretty impressive, especially when it comes to details. Next, looking at the second set of photos, I must say, all photos captured sharp details. The difference here is the vibrancy of colors, but overall in this set of images, everything is very usable. This is what the shots looks like in both devices at 10x. Details are good, but noise is more visible in Xiaomi 12, and texts are more readable or visible in the GT2 Pro. Checking out portrait mode real quick, it seems that the Realme GT2 Pro did a better job of separating the subject from the background. Well, both devices have crisp details and true to its color. Moving to each device's respective night mode, as you can see, the Xiaomi 12's shot is more noisy and hazy compared to the Realme GT2 Pro's shot. Here's another set, and here I believe the Xiaomi 12 did a better job compared to the Realme GT2 Pro. Now moving over to the selfies, it's apparent that the Realme has a beauty effect on board, but in a good way. And to be honest, when it comes to details and colors, I prefer it over the Xiaomi 12. Portrait selfies, again, the Realme GT2 Pro does a better job here, especially with the subject background separation. The Xiaomi 12 shot is also more overexposed in comparison and blurred most of the time. For video, both devices can shoot up to 8K at 24 frames per second, and both devices produce superb stabilization and details are present. They both produce a very usable footage coming from the smartphone. The Xiaomi's footage though has more vibrant colors. Alright, for cameras, I'm a bit torn. Both cameras did a pretty good job as they produce good quality shots even in different scenarios or lighting. Before we conclude, as per usual, let's talk about the price. The Xiaomi 12 retails in our Philippine shores at 39,999 pesos for the 8 gigs of RAM plus 256 gigs of internal storage variant. while the realme GT2 Pro is priced at 34,990 pesos for the 12 gigs of RAM plus 256 gigs of internal storage variant. So the question is, which one to get? Well, both Xiaomi 12 and the realme GT2 Pro have many similarities. Both also have their own advantages. If you want a smartphone with a better touch sampling rate, a larger storage option, and a larger battery, the realme GT2 Pro is a good option. However, if you want a compact smartphone with a Dolby Vision, Harman Kardon audio, Audio Blaster, and faster charging, then the Xiaomi 12 is for you. So which one do you prefer? The Xiaomi 12 or the realme GT2 Pro? Let us know in the comment section below, and if you find this video helpful, be sure to drop a like, subscribe to our channel for more content, hit that bell icon so you don't miss any future uploads, and be sure to visit YugaTech.com for the latest tech news and reviews. This has been Real, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.